Hello everybody and welcome to another live Inside GWM event. My name is Luke Huysmans, your host, and this is your opportunity to get the inside scoop on the world of GWM and a chance to ask our GWM experts your burning questions. This is for everyone, dealers, customers, people brand new to the brand. We're sure you're all going to get something out of these live events. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. Today, we're taking a look at the new Tank 300 diesel. And I don't know about you, but I think that looks fantastic. Then, after we take a little bit of a walk around it, we're going to have our usual Q&A session where we'll get to answer as many questions submitted by you throughout the event as possible. So start now. If you've got any questions about the Tank 300 diesel or the Tank 300 range, they're the ones we're going to prioritise. Pop them in a comment and we'll get to as many as we can a little later on. Now, if we don't happen to get to your question live, rest assured someone from GWM is going to be doing their best to answer all the questions online over the next week or so. So, without further ado, this isn't about me. To take us around the Tank 300 diesel today, I'm going to invite our Inside GWM Live regulars, Steve Maciver, who is the Head of Marketing and Communications for GWM Australia and New Zealand, and Tim Leong, who is the Senior Product Specialist from GWM. Gentlemen, welcome back again.
Good to be back.
Yeah, it's nice and warm today. We're not standing in a freezing cold studio, so
Indeed.
Let's dive into it. Steve, I'll start with you. Can you maybe start by kicking things off with what's new in the world of GWM news?
Sure, and good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Great to see everyone here. Yeah, look, it's been an extremely busy start to 2025. It would have been just over a month ago. We saw most of you guys online at our Haval H6 GT FEV live stream direct from Sydney. Since then, we've launched this car, another really important car for us, the Tank 300 diesel. So yeah, 3 brand new model launches in about 5 or 6 weeks, a hectic start to the year, but we're pleased to say that this new model sort of avalanche that we're on, it's beginning to pay dividends and really increasing our sales numbers. We had our highest ever position finish in Australia last month in Feb, finished top 7 for the first time, which we're delighted about. So again, thank you to anyone who's gone out there and taken a GWM home over the last month or two. You've helped get us there. There's much more to come, but certainly top 7 finish, we're delighted with that. Lots of new products. It's been a pretty hectic start to the year.
So while you catch a breath with all of that, there's so much going on. Launches, top 7 finish, anything else? Any other news?
Yeah, look, we shared some news, obviously, again, over the past couple of live streams. We've talked about the importance of localising the GWM brand, and part of that has been really trying to identify our DNA and making our cars feel more localised for the Australian and the New Zealand consumer. So what does that look like? Well, obviously, Tim's been working very hard with engineers who've been coming down from China over the past 10, 12, 18 months and doing a lot of testing here on the new cars that we've launched. But we've always felt the need to really bring that even more local and get more local expertise. So we made an announcement last week that we've got a very, very experienced, well-credentialed, well-known vehicle dynamics engineer by the name of Rob Tribbiani, joining our team, joining the GWM team officially from Monday. Now, for those of you not familiar with Rob and his history, Rob for many years was the lead vehicle dynamics engineer at Holden and was responsible for bringing that really well-received ride and handling feel to those cars over the final years of Holden and many years before that as well. So Rob's going to come in, joining our team, and is really going to help take this car and many others, give us those extra 1%ers and help us build it to the next level.
So Tim, I might throw you in under the bus here for a second. Do you know what some of those sort of top 1%ers Rob's going to look at immediately?
I think the key thing straight up the bat is suspension tune. So previously, I might have mentioned in the 2025 Canon launch that we've had Chinese engineers who've come here and spent more than a week and a half with me, just driving, feeling and understanding the local Australian road. And then they've created this tune for the 2025 Canon. It's definitely an improvement from the previous one, but I think there's still room to improve. And this is exactly where someone like Rob can provide his expertise and bring this vehicle up to what Australian consumers expect.
Just quickly, and you've heard me again say this a few times before, GWM's philosophy is improving little by little every day. Exactly what Tim's referred to there is exactly the way that we go about work, not just from a local level, but from a head office engineering R&D level. The fact that we've brought this really special, well-received new cannon to market, which is improved in many, many ways over the outgoing model, we're still not satisfied. We want more. You know, no product is perfect. Every generation of these cars that we're bringing out is getting better and better. But again, we're looking for those 1%ers, as Tim said, to really help take it to the next level.
Well, I and probably the GWM community think it's fantastic that you already get the engineers out from China here to do their bit, but this is just going to, again, elevate it to another level with real Australian knowledge. So I think that's fantastic.
100%.
Talking from, let's shift away from the Cannon back to the Tank 300 and the diesel variant. Steve, how important to you is the Tank 300 within the GWM lineup, and then adding a diesel variant to that already successful lineup as well?
Very important and short. Look, every car that we launch in this market is important. We're on a very, very strong growth trajectory, and as such, every new model that we bring for Australian and New Zealand consumers, we bring because we genuinely feel there's demand there for this vehicle. The reason this car, and particularly the addition of the 2.4 litre diesel engine, is so important for buyers down under, essentially 75, or the majority of buyers who are buying a car like this, which is essentially ladder on frame, the vast majority of those cars selling at the moment are diesel. Now, applications for off-road driving, towing, etc., even our regional buyers, we haven't been able to offer that. We've had petrol, which has been well received. We've had hybrid, but this car brings all those additional advantages as well. So we think very important to us as a company, but very, very important, I think, Tim, in terms of opportunity and bringing the right models to market as well.
Definitely. And look, at a quick glance, you can't see anything different. However, I'm sure, Tim, it's not just as simple as pulling out a hybrid or a petrol engine and then dropping in a diesel engine. So what exactly has changed with this particular Tank 300?
So to begin with, on the outside of the vehicle, there's really no telling of this being a diesel, petrol, or hybrid.
Oh, good. So it's not just me then.
It's not just you. On the back, you do find the 2.4T badge, which is probably the only thing that could tell the diesel apart from the other vehicles. However, underneath, there has been quite a few significant changes. So one of the key things that we in Australia have requested from head office is our consumers are wanting more payload, our consumers are wanting more towing capacity, and also obviously consumers want the diesel. So I'm very glad to say this car has met all three of these criteria. So 2.4 diesel, as we see, payload has been increased now to 600 kilograms. The towing capacity has also been increased to 3 tons as well.
That's fantastic. So has there been much, I was going to say, redesign underneath, like with the chassis or the suspension, or like what have you had to do to kind of to make that happen?
So in order to achieve this increased payload as well as increased towing capacity, we haven't just gone on the paper, certificate and just scratched off 2.5 tons.
That's not how it works.
And put in 3, right? So to give you guys an example, the front knuckles on the vehicle have been upgraded. The wheel bearings, the brakes have also been upgraded. And not only that, the chassis, there were just minor tweaks here and there too. And apart from that, even little things like the prop shaft, welding on the prop shaft has had to be upgraded in order to all achieve the payload as well as the 3-ton towing.
And don't forget that, Tim mentioned that he's had engineers working with him here on ride and handling of the new Cannon as an example. We've also had prototype versions of these cars running about in Australia for a while as well to really understand how this powertrain is going to perform locally. So there has been local feedback into this car that you're now available to buy within GWM dealerships today.
Well, let's talk about that, Tim. How was Australia specifically factored into this vehicle and these specifications?
So to begin with, there was definitely a lot of requests that has been compiled from us, from our product team. And apart from that, there is also engineering testing. So not sure if some of our viewers might have seen this camouflage Tank 300 that has been captured by some keen-eyed viewers before. This was quite a few months back, being filled up with the diesel. And that's what, back then we've already had a prototype car doing all this. And closer to just before the launch as well, I've actually had the time to be with some towing specific and suspension engineers, specifically doing 3-ton maximum towing capacity around Melbourne and also specifically at Leong.
And I think we've actually got some vision of that on screen now so that all of our people watching live can see what you're talking about.
Overall, we are very, very happy with the results. And at Leong, there's this 15.5-degree hill, and the Tank 300 diesel with its really torquey 480 Newton meter of torque engine just managed to drag this 3-ton caravan up this 15.5-degree hill with no problem. You know, just things like this to make sure we verify everything and be comfortable with what we're doing as well. You know, once again, it is quite a significant upgrade going to 3-ton, and that's why we just want to make sure, you know, it's all going to work and all going to be fine.
I'm sure that makes a lot of our GWM community very happy though. And to throw it back to you, Steve, it's interesting that you've decided to bring a diesel engine into the Australian market with this kind of ever-changing automotive landscape we're experiencing here at the moment.
Great question, Luke. Before I get to that, I think Tim's been quite modest. I think you asked the question about, Australia's involvement in bringing this powertrain to locally down here for Australia and New Zealand. This guy here was leading the charge for us in terms of saying this is a really important engine for us Australians and New Zealanders are crying out for this. So Tim's going to take some credit for that. But yeah, back to your question about diesel. A lot of people might be thinking, why are you bringing in a diesel? Aren't we moving to plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles and all that? The short answer is yes, that's where the market's heading. But as Tim said, the vast majority of buyers in this segment are looking for diesel. So number one, we're bringing it in because Australian and New Zealand consumers are still looking for diesel in a car like this, and we think it's the right thing to do. But GWM's powertrain philosophy, I like to call it democratization of technology. We are continuing to invest in internal combustion, in petrol and diesel. We're continuing to invest in hybrid. We've got 5 hybrids in the range here today. We're continuing to invest in plug-in hybrid. We've already launched the H6 GT PHEV. There'll be 3 more plug-in hybrids to come from GWM this year. We're continuing to invest in EV. So we're not putting all our eggs in one basket. We're giving our consumers and customers choice here in Australia, and that's key. We want to grow, but we can only do that by offering the right products to our consumers down under.
That sounds fantastic, and I think, Steve, now Tim's going to have a few autograph hunters at the Tank drive days from all the diesel fans, so well done. All right, so we're going to try something a little bit different today for the live Q&A. I'm going to let you guys jump inside the Tank 300, give our viewers a little bit of a squiz of what's going on in there. I'm just going to pop around the side here, and we're going to feed you some questions from the outside. I'm going to let you two have some fun with it. So jump on in and let's give this a try.
Let's do it.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
Here we are, Tim, a familiar cockpit that you and I am sure most of the tank owners out there will be familiar with. But look, obviously, familiar screen setup. Through here, obviously, our transmission, all our 4-wheel drive technology. The 4-wheel drive technology in this is a little bit different than on the hybrid though, isn't it? Tell us about it.
So in the Tank 300 diesel, we have a part-time 4x4 system. The hybrid has what we call torque on demand. So it just works slightly differently, and compared to the petrol as well, there are also some drive modes, etc., that are a little bit different. And on top of that, the screen here, some of what you can see and the expert mode and all that, it's just a little bit different too.
Okay. We've got a question from Jamie. Thanks, Jamie, for your question. The question is this the same 2.4 litre diesel engine that we've got on the new GWM Cannon?
Yeah, so fundamentally the engine as well as the gearbox is the same as the one that's in the Cannon. But as mentioned, this has the part-time 4x4 system. The Cannon actually has the torque on demand 4x4 system, pretty much like the hybrid.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Question from Jamie, Jamie we've had already, but question from Ben. He was asking about Tank Club events, so I'm going to field that one. So Ben, again, great question. In terms of Tank Club events, we were due to actually have one this weekend in Queensland. Tim and I were supposed to be going up there to see you all, but for those of you who have not checked the weather, There is significant weather due coming down the line in southeast Queensland this weekend, so we just felt it wasn't safe, it wasn't the right thing to do. So we have postponed that, and as such we're going to be running an event, hopefully we think now in May, but we'll look forward to coming back to you shortly on that as well. Okay. Another question from This Kid Mad, great name, This Kid Mad. Will the Tank 500, Tim, get the 2.4 litre diesel engine?
So at this point in time, there's no plan for the Tank 500 diesel, especially in 2.4. But if that's something you guys are keen, definitely keep sounding it out. We can always provide this up to the factory.
Perfect. Question from Chris, and maybe this is one that you can field as well, Tim. Do we yet have a 5-star ANCAP safety rating for the Tank 300 diesel? And what's the warranty situation versus the other tank products?
Certainly. So with the diesel, we are running through some paperwork. Basically, from an engineering point of view, we've provided everything that's required. We are confident it will get the 5-star carried over. However, we're just waiting for ANCAP to confirm that. And the second question is about warranty. For the Tank 300, whether it's petrol, diesel or hybrid, they all get the same 777, which is 7 years factory warranty, 7 years of roadside assist, and 7 years of cab price servicing.
Okay, fantastic. An amusing comment coming through now from Anthony Carroll, essentially saying that Tim is a legend, allegedly. So he was one of the guys who would have met Tim up at the 4x4 show in Brisbane. Yep. So Tim, as Luke said, your reputation's getting out there, mate, so well done.
Yeah, it was good to see everyone at the show as well.
Excellent. Question from Ben, again, one we'll put to you, Tim. Will the plug-in hybrid be coming to Tank 300?
So at this point in time, we are working on different options, I guess you can say. But some viewers might know already the Tank 300 plug-in has been released recently in Brazil. So we're looking at various options. At the moment, it's not available, but yeah, keep your eyes on our social, etc.
Yeah, we have said obviously that this year we've already got the H6 GT PHEV that we launched last month, which is going very, very well. We have got 3 more coming this year as well, and we've been on the record as saying that those 3 will be obviously the Canon Alpha PHEV or plug-in hybrid with high 4T technology. You're also going to see the new H6 later in the year come with plug-in, and then of course we will have Tank 500. So that's probably the 4 that we'll see this year, but let's wait and see what may unfold or may not unfold after that. Question from Pete. Any differences in terms of how the lane keeper ELK systems have been tuned on this car, Tim, versus what we would have seen in previous generations, or different powertrains?
Yeah, so this is also another thing where I've worked on very closely with some Chinese engineers, specifically within the ADAS system. So I can confirm the Tank 300 diesel does have improved ELK as well as lane keep assist, both in the volume as well as the reminder and also the sort of pressure the steering wheel yanks back at you. So overall, you know, I believe this has got to a very, very good place. And I'm pretty sure quite a few medias, journals have actually commented on that too, that this was a very, very good setup with ADAS.
Well, that's a really interesting point that you raised, Tim, because as we mentioned at the start of the stream now, ultimately we launched this vehicle to the press here in Melbourne last week. The reviews are out on most of the usual car portals and publications that you'll all be very, very familiar with, and the feedback in the car has been very, very positive. And to Tim's point, one of the things that came through was that, yeah, this is a great power plant and great engine choice for this car, for the type of usage that the consumers buying this are going to be looking for. But there was a lot of really positive feedback again about the ADAS systems, how they were tuned and how they felt a lot more intuitive and a lot more gentle than what perhaps they'd been previously. So again, just another example of that ongoing refinement. And again, it's the feedback from you, our owners and our customers and our dealers that have allowed that to happen. Tim, one more question. I don't think we've covered it. Fuel economy and engine outputs, again, what are they looking like in the Tank 300 diesel? So
in the diesel, it's got 135 kilowatt of power, 480 Newton meter of torque, and the fuel consumption is 7.8 litres per 100 kilometres as well.
Okay. Excellent. I think we're out of questions, guys, and I think we're getting the rev up from Luke outside, so I think we'll leave live Q&A there, and it's been awesome, but let's head back out to Luke. Let's do it. Good.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'd love to let you answer those questions all night long, but unfortunately we have to wrap it up there. Steve, Tim, as always, thank you so much for your time and expertise. It's always great having you as a part of these events. I'm sure you'll agree they're a little bit of fun.
Indeed, we love it. We love getting it every month and doing these.
So again, please keep your questions coming in. If Steve and Tim didn't have a chance to answer them live tonight, someone will be doing their best over the coming week or so to answer them all online. For more information on the Tank 300 and all the vehicles in the GWM family, and to even book a test drive for yourself, just visit gwmanz.com. And thank you again, as always, for choosing to be a part of this incredible GWM community and for joining us today. Keep an eye on the website and social channels for all the latest news and details on the next live event. And as a heads up, the next live event is going to be a big one. You're not going to want to miss out. So until then, drive safely and we'll catch you all in April.